from the beloved and iconic series that's given us some of gaming's greatest masterpieces, discover the origin of the story that's apparently connected them all along, as well as one of the most universally hated Zeldas since Zelda 2.
Well, excuse me, princess.
The Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword. Dive into one of the most polarizing titles in the Zelda franchise, as Skyward Sword takes the design of the Wii to its logical conclusion and makes the motion control Zelda game that absolutely no one asked for, where your gameplay enjoyment is directly correlated with how up your sensor bar is, and every fight feels like doing a bunch of morphine before a high school fencing match. Then watch as the game proceeds to deviate even more from the usual formula of the Zelda, with item collection, upgrades, durability, climbing, and a bunch of other things that would turn out to have basically been prototypes for Breath of the Wild's gameplay, but at this point just felt awkward and unnecessary, in a contentious entry that took a step back for every step forward. I didn't know it was even possible to make a helper character as annoying as Navi, but those sons of bitches did it again. Soar into the lore of Zelda once again, where a brave hero must pick up the mantle, save the princess from the grips of an ancient evil, and be immortalized for the ages with a name that will go down in history, Grooves. Then watch as our hero single-handedly guards the temple as Link meanders around through some theoretical surface world doing God knows what, and leaves Grooves to pick up the pieces, in a strange video game story where the true protagonist is ignored just because some nerd is a talking sword and was chosen by a goddess or whatever. Real heads know, when the Grooves is loose, it's all over for that caboose. Soar across the clouds in Skyward Sword's version of an open-world map, where the usual sense of exploration and discovery is traded in for a minute of uneventful flying to the next asteroid where something is actually going on, and you quickly descend to the surface world where you'll spend most of the game anyway. Then encounter outdoor areas that are so directed and unnaturally built that they just feel like dungeons you have to do before you get to the dungeon, to eventually get to the Zelda gameplay you wanted. Basic-ass puzzles, and get to the boss whose entire battle plan is destroyed by an item you found like 4 rooms away. Then make your way back to the sky for no reason except that it's there, only to backtrack to a different portion of the exact same 3 surface maps, in an open world that for all the space and mobility feels weirdly bite-sized. But hey, at least it's still full of weird hermits whose entire life is dedicated to some insane game they made up. No, of course I'm not actually going to play them. Wave your controller like you just don't care in the battle system of Skyward Sword, where you'll wildly wiggle and waggle your sword around like you're fighting a swarm of bees, until the game actually makes you precisely swing the thing in a specific direction, which works generously half of the time. Then switch to the plethora of different tools and gadgets that also rely on motion controls, and have a tiny aneurysm as you almost blow yourself up with your own bombs for the 20th time. Or watch the cursor shake like you've just downed 27 Red Bulls through your eyes, in motion controls that really make you feel like you're part of the action when they work, but most of the time feel like you're a T-Rex trying to play badminton. You can also just use the right stick on the switchboard, if you don't mind that it also sucks, and that you'll end up swinging your sword every time you try to move the camera. So strap on that wrist brace, and point that sword skyward, for the last straightforward Zelda before it took a wild turn that might have been a disappointment for a Zelda game, but is still probably better than most of the crap you'll play this year. Not to mention that playing with the Joy-Con is at least 70% better than on the Wii. You know, I only want to crush my Joy-Con a little bit and not javelin it into the sun, so that's an improvement, I guess. Starring Air Zelda, A Link to the Past, Hey Shiri, Untitled Goose Game, Impala, Hisoka, A Very Angry Avocado, and Berserker. Zelda Wii Sports Resort. Did you know that you can draw different shapes on the goddess walls to get different items? For example, if you draw a rupee, you get extra rupees. That didn't quite come out the way I wanted it to. Tell us what you'd like to hear in my epic voice in the comments below. We may have the power of the gods on our sides, but I have something better. Anime. Bite off more than you can chew, and chew like heck. Crusader crusades all the other goats, y'all. It's happy, it's sad, it's good and bad. All I ever wanted in this world was carnage.